or high. Cape Town, the second most populated, after Johannesburg, the city of the Republic of South Africa. It is located in the southwest of the country on the coast of the Atlantic Ocean, near the Cape of Good Hope. Capital of the West Cape Province, legislative capital of the Republic of South Africa. Enters the city district Cape Town. In Cape Town, the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa and many government agencies are located. The city is well known for the harbour and world-famous sites such as Table Mountain, South Africa, Cape of Good Hope, Cape Point. Cape Town is the city of South Africa which is the most visited by tourists. Cape Town developed as the transit point for the Dutch ships on the way from Europe to East Africa, India and other parts of Asia, and played the leading role in this quality more than 200 years, before the opening of the Suez Canal in 1869. Cape Town, founded on April 6, 1652 by colonists under the leadership of January van Riebeeck, long time remained the capital and the largest city of Cape Colony. According to data of a census of 2011, the population of Cape Town makes 3,740,026 people. The square of Cape Town makes 2,444.97 km. It is more than other cities of the Republic of South Africa, and as a result, population density in Cape Town is lower. 152,968 people/km. History. Authentic data on when here the first human settlements appeared: no. The earliest archaeological finds: a cave, Pierce Cave, near Fishhook, belong at the right time about 12,000 years ago. Is known of the early history of this region a little. The first written certificates belong only to 1486, when the Cape of Good Hope was visited by Portuguese Bartholomew Dias. Vasco da Gama also rounded the Cape on November 20, 1497, but regular contacts with Europeans and local population began only in 1652 after arrival of an expedition of January van Riebeeck. The same year, under his management, the city and Cape Town port as base of providing the ships of the Dutch East Indian Company with fresh products and meat was founded. Riebeeck worked for the Dutch East Indian Company and had to provide the parking for her vessels on the way to Europe. The tip of South Africa was inhabited at the time first of all by Gittentota. From the east came a Braid, the people belonging to family Tuebo. During an initial stage, the city grew slowly as the lack of labor affected. To fill in, Dutches began import of slaves from Indonesia and Madagascar. Many of these slaves joined colonial society, and descendants from mixed marriages of Indonesians, Europeans and local population formed several special ethnic groups called Collar, and Cape Collar are allocated in special community. In Cape Town, Muslims, natives of Malaysia and Indonesia, built quite unusual city quarter in the architectural plan. Now it is called Bokop, the old name, the Malayan Quarter. The Big Collar community still compactly lives in him. In 1795 the British troops occupied the city after fight at Maizenberg. Under the terms of the peace treaty signed after war in 1803, Cape Town was returned to Dutches. However, the same year the conflict was resumed, and in 1806 the British after fight at Blauberg took Kop again. Under the Peace Treaty of 1814, this region became an integral part of the British Empire. The territory subject to the British grew, and the Cape Colony, which capital was Cape Town, was created. Opening of diamond fields in the western Greek Vallenda and gold deposits on Witwatersrand, near present Johannesburg, in 1869 led to the beginning of a gold rush and rapid growth of Johannesburg due to inflow of immigrants. Besides, friction between the Boer states created during the Great Trek, and which experienced inflow of foreigners Uitlanderaf, and the British colonial administration began. Anglo-Boer War, 1899–1902, became the culmination of this conflict. Having won against the Boer states, the Orange Republic and Transvaal, and having strengthened control over gold mining and diamonds, British united the Boer republics with Cape Colony and the British possession Natal, having created the Southern African Union. Hughes was proclaimed in 1910, and Cape Town became his legislative capital. He kept this function, and after in 1961 the Republic of South Africa was created. In 1948 elections were won by the National Party, promising to enter a segregation on racial sign, known as apartheid. According to the law on group areas, suburbs with the mixed population had to be cleared of the inhabitants who were illegally staying there, or at all are demolished. Due to this campaign, big fame was gained by the Cape Town 6th District, destroyed in 1965. As this zone was proclaimed the area for white, more than 6,000 black inhabitants were violently moved. During apartheid era, preference at employment under the law was given in Cape Town color, but not black. The 6th District of Cape Town was officially announced by a white zone in 1966, under the law on group areas adopted in 1950, and was demolished only in 1982. Up to reckoning about 660,000 representatives of various groups lived in this district. Freedmen, handicraftsmen, shopkeepers and workers. After demolition, the former inhabitant left on one of walls sarcastic graffiti: "You are now in fairyland. Welcome to the country of fairies." Literally, you now in the country of fairies. On December 3, 1967, in Grootskeur Hospital operation, the first in the history of medicine, on heart transplantation was performed. It was carried out by Professor Christian Barnard, heart of the mortally wounded 25-year-old woman to the 55-year-old patient. In Cape Town there lived many fighters against apartheid. Part of them, including Nelson Mandela, contained then in prison on Robben Island remote on 10 came from the Cape Town coast. On February 11, 1990, Mandela, and several hours after an exit from prison, delivered the well-known speech, standing on a balcony of the Cape Town Town Hall. After in 1994 apartheid was cancelled, Cape Town had to face a set of problems, including HIV and AIDS, tuberculosis and crime, including connected with drugs. At the same time, in city economy the real boom, in particular due to tourism and violently growing real estate market, is observed. On January 15, 2018, local authorities declared that because of a long drought, water supplies in the city will be exhausted in 90 days. Zero Day was appointed to April 22. Date on April 29 earlier was called. The decision was made that when stocks fall to a mark of 13.8%, water supply will be stopped except for crucial objects. including hospitals. And in the city 200 points where each inhabitant will be able to receive 25 liters of water a day will be organized. Physiographic characteristic. The center of Cape Town is located on the northern outskirts of the Cape Peninsula. The Table Mountain creates a picturesque background, towering above sea level more than 1,000 meters. It is surrounded with almost steep rocks, such as Peak of the Devil and Lev's Head. Sometimes over the mountain the thin cloud called by cloth is formed. The peninsula is a small mountain chain. More than 700 tops have height more than 300 m. And terminates in the Cape Keep Point. Many suburbs of Cape Town are located on the big plain Cape Flats connecting the peninsula to the continent. Cape Flats it is put from the sandy soils which remained from a former shallow. Earlier Table Mountain was the island. From east side of the peninsula in the Bay Falls Bay the naval base Simonstown where it is possible to visit the Museum of Navy of the Republic of South Africa is located. Climate of the city subtropical Mediterranean. According to a national census in the Republic of South Africa for 2001, the population of Cape Town made 2,893,251 persons. About 7% of the population of the country. In the city there were 759,767 households, from which 87.4% are equipped with the sewerage, 94.4% lived in more or less sanitary conditions with garbage removal and weekly cleaning of a toilet. 80.1% of households used electricity as the main means of energy. Similar statistics is going to the Republic of South Africa where a considerable part of the population, especially black, still lives in rather deplorable conditions. It especially concerns recent migrants from villages to the cities and the become impoverished white farmers after coming to power of the black majority. 16.1% of households had one head of the family that reflects AIDS epidemic consequences. Dynamics of the population of Cape Town, as well as the Republic of South Africa in general, is difficult and contradictory, strongly varies on racial and language groups. In general in the city the high birth rate, especially among the black and color population remains, but it is lower than on average in the country. At the same time mortality is also very high. A special contribution to mortality is made storming epidemic of AIDS, especially in city slums, and high crime with a significant amount of death from firearms. At the same time, the city has also considerable migration gain at the expense of black migrants outcasts from internal regions of the Republic of South Africa and other countries of Africa. Cape Town differs in a racial variety of the population, but also in a contradictory relationship between the main racial and ethnic groups which are traditionally competing among themselves for quite limited economic resources of the city. As well as to the USA, an interracial relationship are characterized in the past by the obvious, legislatively fixed racism manifestations which now took the latent form. Discrimination, housing segregation. In the racial plan in the city so-called color descendants from interracial contacts of the Asians, who are generally delivered as house servants and slaves to Malayans, white, Dutches, Germans and partly Portuguese, and blacks relatively prevail. Color make 48.13% of the population, 1.393 million. Cape Town, the cultural capital of the Kola population, which native language is Afrikaans. Further on number, the black population follows. 31.0%. 897,000 a man. Fall to his share in Cape Town that is significantly lower than over the country in general. 79%. The bulk of black, recent migrants from breeding villages in the northwest of the country and also natives of others, even less safe, regions of Africa. After coming to power black after 1994, one of tasks of the modern government, to increase a share black in the city and to provide them levers of cultural, political and economic influence. The third largest racial component of Cape Town, the white, making 18.75% of the population. 542,000. Their share in the city is almost twice higher than over the country in general. 9%. However, white are non-uniform on the origin and language. In coastal areas, especially on the Cape, bulk has the British origin and talks in English. They are joined also by rather recent migrants from Europe, including Russians, Lithuanians, Portuguese. Other considerable part white in the city, the descendants of the Dutch and German immigrants of the 17th, 18th centuries. Afrikaners are drills, speaking into Afrikaans. The total number of white in the city was considerably reduced for the last 40 years and especially for the last decade because of their intensive emigration to the USA, Australia and Great Britain and unwillingness to be reconciled with loss of the political power in the Republic of South Africa.
But Cape Town, because of the geographical location and an old story and bigger than other cities of the Republic of South Africa to a measure, keeps favorable conditions for preservation at least of some part of the white population and in the future.
Transport. The International Airport Cape Town is the second in passenger turnover airport in South Africa. The airport serves flights in the majority of the directions within the country and some international flights. In the city several ports and piers, the largest of which is the Port of Cape Town located in the Table Bay, function. This port is the second largest in the country after the Port of Durban. In 2008 through Cape Town Port there passed car tons of not container freights.
In 2006 the container terminal shipped 782,878 DET.
Railway transport is presented as the suburban message in which connect Cape Town to Malmesbury, Paarl and Stellenbosch, and the long-distance trains connecting the central station to Johannesburg and East London. The basis of public transport in the city is made by buses. Besides regular city buses, minibuses are widespread. There is also a system of the high-speed MyCity bus. Main type of transport in the city, automobile. Cape Town suffers from the worst traffic jams in the Republic of South Africa. In the city, 3 national routes originate. N. Sites. The Table Mountain. 1087 meters high is a symbol of Cape Town. For many years her unique silhouette met seafarers from the distant countries seeking to fill up to the long-awaited Bay of Cape Town water supplies and food. Victoria Embankment and Alfred. The embankment of the former harbour of port with once dirty and poor port constructions.
In the present, it is the huge entertainment and shopping center, including more than 200 shops, galleries, cinema halls, hotels, restaurants and pothouses, the popular place of walks of residents and tourists. Aquarium of Two Oceans. The biggest in the southern hemisphere.
Behind glass 11 meters high, more than 300 representatives of the Atlantic and Indian Oceans swim.
The Botanical Garden Kirstenbosch is founded in 1913 on east slope of the Table Mountain for the purpose of preservation of flora of the south of Africa. It is recognized as one of 7 best and famous botanical gardens in the world. Territory of a garden of 528 hectares. In the summer here concerts of classical music are regularly held. Pinedestes Fortress, one of old buildings in the Republic of South Africa, the construction was completed in 1679, and became base of the Dutch Oost-Indische Company. On the tradeway to India. And also a defensive fort for settlers. In 1936 the fort became the museum and still is the regional center of the Southern African Military Forces in the West Cape Province. The South African National Gallery, one of the largest museums of the Republic of South Africa.
ZICO, the National Museum with the exposition of exhibits, largest in Africa, on zoology, paleontology and archaeology.
The area of the vegetable market. The large market surrounded from all directions with the houses built in a peculiar architectural style of the Southern African Art Deco. Besides, the ancient building of a city meeting is on the square. And there is a large exhibition of painting of the Dutch masters of the 17th century, including Rembrandt's engravings.
On a part of Long Street, completely restored houses of times of the Queen Victoria are located between Orange Street and Vale Street.
Thanks to art forging of balconies, a stucco molding and bright facades, the street very much reminds the French Quarter in New Orleans. In this part of Long Street numerous boutiques, antique and second-hand bookshops are located. Bridge of Foreshore Highway. I was under construction at the beginning and the middle of the 1970th years, but it wasn't completed in connection with a lack of financing, having become a local attraction. On his background episodes of movies, commercials are removed. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.